I'm a big Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk is willing to sacrifice your kids to keep guns in schools. At a recent Turning Point faith event, college dropout Charlie Kirk showed that you don't need a formal education to operate a dog and pony show for those attending the circus.
You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, by having more armed guards in front of schools. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
The flat-faced Kirk then reasoned with the audience as to why he thinks it's acceptable for you to lose your kids in a school shooting. He said you will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights.
People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How did we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks.
First of all, you slimy little worm, you are in no place to decide who gets to live and die to protect your delusion that God gives you the right to own a gun. You pathetic moron. You would literally crap in your pants if you had to defend yourself in a combat situation, or if you had to hide under a desk like a child in an active shooter situation. You want to talk so tough about guns, but you never manned a post in service to your country. You never had to shoot at an enemy in real life. Charlie, video games don't count for real-world experience, and your fake degree from Liberty University doesn't add up to a pile of beans.
The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government.
Charlie Kirk is one of the biggest fakes on the circuit right now. He has openly agreed with jackaloons like Rudy Giuliani and Mark Levin, and has panhandled his nonsensical stories to the willfully ignorant for years. Kirk thinks it's worth it to have a few gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment. This is his bottom line, and it is absolutely despicable. Charlie Kirk is a talking head, a flat-faced, poodle-haired, silver-tongued shyster talking head. If Charlie Kirk wants to spew his worthless opinions about weapons of war, folks should know that he has no experience in being a badass in real life. All of Charlie Kirk's experience with firearms is from Call of Duty. He is an absolute imposter when it comes to knowing anything about guns. His fake credentials are like cheap toilet paper, and that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.